Well, hello.
Well, welcome to the danger zone.
I'm wondering if this is like a This Is Your Life episode, because I had no idea we were going to have
So,
a friend.
yeah, John is like completely like, what's going on? So, like 2 minutes ago, April popped into our little chat here. She doesn't know what to say right now. She is, for the first time ever, speechless. She's come onto the Copper Factory for hard-hitting red button questions.
Wow.
Well, I had some breaking news and I didn't want to overstep. And so I finally am able to tell someone. So I called Copper Dan and it was so hard to say. And I said it. And then he's like, oh, no, you got to come on. I was like, I'll wait. I don't know.
April is finally
Well, now I
expressed.
want to know what it is.
She's finally expressed her love for me. And Mike, you're out. Okay.
Oh, okay. I can't hear K-Pro. You guys can't hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I can hear you guys. Nomadic Madman saying I can. Oh, maybe that's the joke. I can't hear K-Pro.
I think you're good. So, K-Pro, this is the part of the show where we just chat about whatever usually. He's like, how you been?
Yeah, and we kind of did that because we went on Saturday. So we talked about Dan running 20 miles and my boots on the ground. But I did do a little quick presentation just because Rudy asked where I can show like 9 slides real quickly, just the boots on the ground that I did this weekend and what it means. Then we typically get into that, what you talked about last night, Kate, for the #1 game show in the Chase community.
Exactly.
If there is breaking news, we can talk about that as well. Too. I mean, if you're actually pregnant, we want to know about it.
No, oh my God, no.
Is this going to go in the gossip section of the #1? I heard you have the #1 rated newspaper in the Chase. No, that is
Chase newspaper. Yeah,
Chase newspaper.
We do. I don't know. You guys need to tell me this is the really hard thing because Mike and I were just going to go on and say it and then leave. But then there's not really, when you're involved in something, it's easier to have someone else ask questions. And
all right.
Okay.
So K-Pro called me about, you texted me 2 hours ago. I was just leaving for everything big happens right when I'm getting out of the car to go for a run. I'm like, you kidding me? I'm like, all right, I'll be back in an hour. I couldn't get my rent, come back. And I called her. I'm like, what's the big news? And then it's got to be. And then you told me, and I was actually like, wow, that's So K-Pro's got some big news. And I would say, since you're here, you're obviously ready to spill it. So spill.
So Mike and I were going to buy the treasure chest, and now we decided not to today.
And that's what we have time for tonight.
Yeah, can I go now?
No, that is really cool. When you told me that, I was like, you're really serious. It's
been a process. It's been a process. It's been hard because I've had to keep it quiet. It's been a journey. It's been a long conversation with Mike. It's been a long but we decided today based on just the risk and the negative. I mean, I'm already involved. I'm already in court cases and things that the risk did not outweigh the positive.
Which really stinks. When you did tell me the reason, and I understood the reason, I think you probably made the right decision. It stinks because you could have owned, or you were in the running to own something pretty special.
Well, and our thought was to put it, to display it for a year and then actually turn an investment and sell it off and get the autobiography to everybody and actually open it. You were going to give me a damn. You said, that's what you said. But the hardest part is not being able to tell anybody, to kind of go through it. I mean, Mike and I have been discussing it for, we discussed the good, the bad, what will we keep? He's like, can I take 1 coin and put it in the treasure chest? And then discussions with the attorneys and all of that there is so much more to it than I realized. And I really feel bad for Jack where he's at right now. And I understand. So I'll answer some questions, some things.
There are questions that are popping up, and I don't know how much.
Notice how Professor I raised my hand politely.
Oh, I missed that. How does it feel to be talked over here? I mean, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead,
I'm
PJ.
Shut up now.
Packer Jack's gonna. Our first question is gonna go.
Well, so it's a multi-part question, as I'm sure you can imagine. But
I'm live.
the fact that you said you decided
Mike just
not
got up.
to means that you had the potential opportunity. You're not, which means Jack was trying to sell it, as we know. I think the last time you may have mentioned this, K-Pro, I think when we were talking about it was valued at 1.8, and then it was down to 1.5. You'd mentioned somebody, I don't know if it was you or Cynthia, said Justin's not going to buy it now anymore or whatever. So what can you share about, without, unless you can't because of the agreement you have, potentially bidding on it or trying to buy it on, you said you felt sorry for Jack. I'm sure part of that is because the valuation has potentially gone down from where it might have been had he been able to consummate this, 6-7 months ago.
Well, okay, so I'll take it a couple different ways, and if I don't answer it, I'll come back to it. I think that there's a leverage between, and some of this is my opinion, some of this is some discussions and things. The reason I won't say anything, I have not signed an NDA or anything. I just feel like Jack should be able to get the best that he can for this. So I don't want to divulge anything that would lower a value or raise a value from a potential bidder standpoint. There was several bidders. You cannot just call up Tom and, oh, I want to make a bid. There is a process to that to even get in. I think my guess is that Jack learned a lot from Entity Gate. And so he is not really involved as much as the lawyers and figuring out things. And I think, what was the other question? I'm kind of rattled tonight.
Well, so I mentioned, it sounds to me like there are multiple bidders, so it's chest and sale and not potentially going to a piecemeal auction at Heritage.
Oh, yeah. So this is how I see it. So I believe there is going to be lawsuits either way. When Jack announces that it is sold, or when the Heritage auction goes live. The big difference between him doing it privately to one person and publicly to an auction house is there will most likely be an injunction filed, and he won't have any money yet. And the treasure chest has not been sold, and the auction's going to stop until that goes through the process. So it behooves him to sell it privately, because the minute that he announces he sold it, he at least has the money. He right now is still at the same spot he was when he found it however many years ago. We won't get into that, but he doesn't have any funds. So he will at least have the funds to then be able to defend himself in that process. So I think my guess is his piecemealing it could bring up a higher value, but it's going to bring a liquidity timing issue. I
think Heritage would love to sell it in auction, but they're probably holding off on charging Jack the appraisal fees and all that they were just going to take out of either a sale of the chest or whatever contingency that Tom and Jack worked out with them, because they had to do all the valuations on all those coins and the nuggets and everything else. So, and
it's still not even all back. I mean, that's what's amazing. So yeah, it's been, it's a long, and I think Jack just wants to move on. He just wants to move on. And so I think he wants this. And even if if he goes to Heritage, there'll be lawsuits. He won't have any funds. It'll take a while. Or if he sells it directly, and that doesn't mean a deal is going to be had, but if he does sell it directly to one person, then the lawyers take over, and he's out of it.
William's got a question. Did you have to put money in escrow just to bid? Or did you just had to provide proof of funds?
Proof of funds was needed. And it was explained to me a few other things that would be needed in the process. But I didn't get, this was kind of that deciding day. Somebody said, I'm barely looking at chat, but somebody said, why are you nervous? Because this is a big thing. It's not like I had all those funds. I had family. We had, this was a major thing for us. And to make that decision today was really hard. I really wanted it. I really wanted it, not only the community part of, I don't know if we're ever going to see that olive jar if it goes to someone else. And I think it's one that would make that happen. I believe it was, well, I won't get into who's bidding and stuff. I'll just say, I really think, and this is where I give props to Ben, he says, I'm just going to open it live if I get it. That's the kind of person I want to have as whole owning this chest, or individual. And I don't think that may happen. I'm not going to get into other people and stuff. I'm just going to say,
I definitely don't think you should out other bidders. So
Now, one of the things I do know about Heritage, just because of my background with knowing someone who works there, is they have a pretty amazing legal department that would do all of the precursory legal speculation. They'd figure that all out before they go. They would know that any suit that would come up after that's potentially a frivolous lawsuit. So I do think while you said Jack would have to go through that, just like the Fenn estate has had to go through these frivolous lawsuits, Jack would still have to defend himself on those. I think Heritage would have we feel good enough that even if someone tries to do a legal injunction, our legal team can tie them up and we can go ahead with the sale and get our money for it. So that would be one kind of yin to the yang of I agree with you. Jack does a private sale and it's sold, and then he comes out after the fact and says it's sold, and then it's up to the new owner based on whatever. It's not just buying the chest, Capro. I'm assuming that there's some stipulations that go along with it as well too. So whatever the new owner would have to agree to would be up to them on how they would, what they would potentially do with it. So, but I do think from the auction side, Heritage would have enough legal power to say, Jack, you and Tom are still going to have to deal with if one of these crazy searchers comes after you, but we feel good enough that we can actually sell this and know that these lawsuits are frivolous, and we'll just keep knocking them down as if anybody tries to come after us.
Yeah. And I think they definitely have sat down and at least have this conversation, or most of this is an I think from the pieces and parts.
Will this ever end? Will the lawsuits ever end?
Well, for the Fenn estate, the lawsuits absolutely are ending. I have different information than Toby. Toby just posted on our page that our last YouTube that there's not an appeal process in probate court, but I talked to an attorney here, and maybe it's by state. In Nevada, there's absolutely an appeals to any court process, or to the probate, I should say. And I looked it up, and it seems like there is. Toby's saying there isn't, so I'm going to be really interested in hearing what he has by way of information to know. So the Fenn estate is going to be done, but I think I don't think it'll be surprising if and when Jack either announces he sells it or the Heritage auction happens that a lawsuit's filed. I mean, we still have another intervener that just came in like yesterday another
case.
Yeah.
The Kraken case. So anything that comes in now is going to get tossed.
It's automatically tossed.
Right.
Automatically tossed.
So,
but still, it's like, yeah.
So I know we talked about this a little bit. So Jack doesn't have to use Heritage. Even at this point, he could still sell the chest privately.
Yes. Well,
yes. He has to pay them all the appraisal fees then. And, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars probably for all the work they've done too. Especially if they've cased coins, Dan, think of all those gradings of, close to 300 coins. So.
And that's the long pole in the tent, is getting all the coins, but not everything is still not everything.
I don't understand what someone's going to file a lawsuit on. What do you file a lawsuit on? Oh, apparently John can answer that.
I know that from what we went through at the end of last year, you mentioned Entity Gate K-Pro, that part of this was the potential purchaser getting to actually examine the chest. Were you able to examine the Forrest Fenn treasure chest and its contents?
We hadn't gotten that far. Nope.
Okay.
Can you get back in?
No, and that's actually, the hard part for me was I think I could have gotten a lot more specific information. I would have been willing to go to Texas where it is. I didn't want to be disingenuous to the process. So once I made the decision with Mike, I said, I guess I could still go see it. I could visit. We decided today, and I knew that a couple people knew, so I don't want it to leak out. And so when we made the decision, that's why I wanted to come on as soon as possible and say, I'm done now. I'm cutting off my part. So I didn't get that far. I was made aware of the range I needed to be in. And I was willing to be in that range plus some. And I think I would have been successful. Because I think the others are kind of already, here's where our best and final is. And I think I would have been able to be above that.
So back up. When was this decision made? What, a year ago?
Oh, no. Let's see. After Entity Gate is when, so it was late fall is when Mike and I started discussing. And then I'll just say early-ish or spring-ish is when I reached out specifically. I mean, if people wonder, why am I going to Santa Fe and things? Maybe this makes a little bit more sense. So I started discussions, like informal, like what would be the considerations and that sort of thing. And then got really serious about it, where connections were made relatively recently.
Did you see chat?
No.
Kalazar said, if I win the World Series of Poker housewarming Thursday, this may change.
Stop it. Stop it. It's cursed. No. We said today, no. Michael, he's now up from his nap and he's like, what are you doing? He doesn't know I was going live to tell you guys.
Rudy Green asked, was a formal bid made?
No, we weren't at that part of the, like I had not
But you could have if you wanted to, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I was told the information I need. I needed proof of funds. I needed to, there was a rank, that sort of thing. I needed to make that formal. And that was what needed to actually happen. It should have happened Friday. And that's when I kind of started going, this is it. This is the point of no return. Like it's going to be a bid, proof of funds. This is where we're at. And I feel a little bad because I did make some connections and had some conversations, and I hope they don't feel like they wasted their time. And then Monday was the holiday, and then today came, and I just said, Mike, with all we know, do we want that risk? I mean,
any other, if you were bidding on any other thing, there would be probably zero consideration that you were going to get sued if you bought it.
I bought Copper Dan's gold coin and no one sued.
Well, just wait. I'm going to file tomorrow. I want my coin back.
No, and it's not only that. Think about, and this was a consideration. Mike didn't care about this and I did. There's two things. We have someone that believes right now in an active court case that I was involved with the nudge gate ending and actually names me in the lawsuit. We have people that believe to this day that were friends of mine and that aren't now. I am involved in a cover-up scandal. If I ended up buying the chess and not just some random person, there is some that it would feed that conspiracy theory and put risk potentially, not only legal risk, but other risk. We know Forrest's granddaughter, and we have kids. So all in all, he said, is it cursed? Are we gonna, I mean, is this gonna be worth the, and so financially, I think that one was an easier one than the potential risk. I would not have thought this could happen. All of these lawsuits, everything, people were outed, email, subpoena, things that I never thought were possible to happen. And so then I thought, what can I not imagine actually being like, Forrest's granddaughter was going to be, it's, some people are so fixated on that chest and this legacy and that piece that's when we just, I don't know, that's when.
Funny.
Now, if it goes to heritage auctions and it's piecemeal and that frog is up there and you see the number that's being bid for that frog.
Mike and I both have one thing that we will be bidding on in the treasure chest. I think mine is obvious. I think his probably is not, and it's his story to tell. So we will make a bid if it goes to heritage. Yeah.
If it goes piecemeal.
Yeah, I'm gonna bid for the frog. I mean, absolutely, I'll bid for the frog. It will go right next to my penis frog.
Mike wants the rusty key. Okay.
Yeah, it would be really great if someone gets if I were to guess right now, it's gonna go whole to someone that is not going to share.
We're getting a lot of questions in chat.
Go ahead.
No, and most of them are to do, can you, without naming names, as I don't think K-Pro can do whatever she wants, but I don't think you should answer any questions and out anyone in any way. Don't give any information on who else is bidding on that chest. Because you certainly don't want to ruin it for anybody else, because
Right. I will say this, one searcher, one non-searcher is what I have been, and I haven't spoken to either of those people. So I heard third hand as I was strategizing on how to make this happen. I think that's as far as I will go. Do I know more? Yes. And I will not.
Did you actually place a bid?
No, I answered that already. No.
Okay, I
Friday was the day that the final connection, and then proof of funds, but like that, we're at that point Friday, and then I told Mike I need the weekend, and then some things happened this morning and some more kind of negative stuff happened, and I said, if this is already happening now, like why? Like,
well,
so
it wasn't like this one was like you were buying $3,000 to $5,000 worth of Forest Fen maps. Put some more zeros on behind that.
and I'm exposing my family financially, because I wasn't bidding. This isn't like I have a piggy bank of money like Donald Duck guy, that with all the Scrooge guy with a big, I mean, Shapesopoly did not do that much for us. So there was some financial exposures. There was just a lot to think about. And I maybe dreamt for a little while. I really got excited. Like Mike and I we have a hot tub in the back, and we sat in the hot tub for a few hours, and it's like, okay, we're going to get it wherever Forrest wanted it, at, a museum, display it for everybody to see for a year. And then I want this. And Mike's like, you got to give me one coin to do a treasure. And we just like dreamt. It's like getting a lottery ticket and thinking, are you going to win the lottery? At least one night, you just got to sit there and reminisce. And I think Mike even had a rum and Coke. And that's what we did, is we just had so much fun. But we agreed, like the olive jar, this is our, okay, this will be how silly we were. The one night he's like, okay, we could have opening night wherever this museum is. But let's say it's at Center of the West. And we hire Douglas Preston to come out and open the jar, live streaming, and then read through. That was and I didn't approach Douglas on it, but that was going to be our proposal to Douglas. This is the way you end the chase, and you read whatever it is that's in there, and that would have been fun. But it's kind of a sad one for me today, because I mean, we'll still be along on the adventure.
I wish you were coming on to be this giddy to tell me that. And then you held it up.
Yeah, no.
Broke it on the copper factory.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I didn't want to break it on I don't even know what to really say. And Michael
wanted to go on a channel where she knew a lot of people wouldn't be watching, Dan. That's why.
Oh.
It's kind of like doing the political dump on a Friday at the end of the day.
No, that's not true.
You know what we should do though? We should transition. Give Capro a second. We should play. Do you want to hang out with us?
No, I want to go. I'll sit and
you
chat.
Don't want to play the number one?
I will, but I
don't want to.
And I'm happy to answer questions about. I heard you might be talking about a map and a Christmas card and stuff. I called Cynthia earlier and said, if I come on, I'm going to answer questions about, because you told me you have to be willing to be in the hot seat. I'll stick around and answer those questions, because I may know a little bit.
Well, why should we do that now, Dan? Because I have those screenshots.
You just ditched the whole you don't know Jack part.
No, we'll still do you don't know Jack.
Well, we can play you don't know. Capro's just gonna. You can turn your screen off. It's gonna take us 5 minutes. We'll play you don't know Jack, and we'll get back on somewhat of a schedule. Capro comes on my show, and then the whole thing.
Well, I told him I didn't want to derail the show. I knew I know Packer Jack. I know I prepare PowerPoint, so I know it takes time. So I didn't want to derail, but I was like, I can't have it leak out. I said I could go after, or I just didn't want it to be on Facebook or something.
It's pretty hard to derail something that went off the tracks already a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So the agenda.
Welcome. By the way, I forgot to put Caper on there because it was a surprise. Dan's Miles, My Boots on the Ground. We had the Smooth Jazz on Sunday. We have You Don't Know Jack episode 16. We're going to go to the St. Jude's Total and Link, and we had some amazing donations this weekend, so Dan will be able to pull that up. Then Dan's got a major item giveaway today. We're going to talk about Meek, Meachum, Map Madness. I noticed, Dan, you forgot the comma between Meek and Meachum when you posted the link, so I hope
well, maybe I didn't forget.
Meek, Meachum. And we were going to talk about auctions. How did I know that? Talk about auctions. This was already on there. And we always put a couple comments on from people. LMAO, Ranger Jack always cracks me up. Great show, doing a magnificent job, gentlemen. But that Ranger character, he's been getting on my nerves. Wish he would log out. Always a hoot. Be safe, be kind, be positive, and have fun. Dan, you can read some of these.
Hell's Canyon shows just keep getting better and better. Keep up the good work, fellas. You're going to be better than Kaulazar someday.
They did not say that.
No, he didn't say that last part.
That already happened.
Great show, Dan and Jack. That's from Hooli, our number one rated moderator.
for one. Rich.
Oh, that was I probably just made a couple of my moderators quit. Sorry, JK and Godalkin. Who else? We don't have too many moderators. Let's go for a walk. Says, I really like the friendship between you two. You two have built. The world needs more of these. And now for the best one. This is amazing. From the Treasure Seekers, Brutal Truth. I think I read this one the other day. Copper Factory was awesome show. Was on my phone, LOL. When I did it. Oh, because he had commented with just a smiley face. And I said, Greg, is that all I get is a smiley face? I expect more out of you. And I got this big, long comment.
Be careful what you wish for, Dan.
I know. I was poking the bear thinking I can only imagine what I'm going to get. And this was like totally surprising because he says, love the show and it's funny as shit. Great job. And maybe do some more characters that would be fun. Keep up the good work.
All right.
And
let's move along.
Moving along. We got to make up time.
Bro, that we could get to 15 episodes, 4 questions every week. It's been 15 weeks.
Wow. And you did 2 this week. And weren't you on Ben's show a couple times? So it's like total, it's like 20.
It's unbelievable. Each show will invite Jack Stoof to join us for a fun segment called You Don't Know Jack. It's a fun segment to learn more about Jack without asking solve or chase related questions, unless he volunteers to do so. There's no doxing going on here, and the information, unless Jack gives us fresh content, has been shared elsewhere before in previous shows, websites, books, photos, articles, and other publications. We may revisit some of his emails to searchers or simply ask trivia-related questions like the ones we're about to do. Just remember, Copper Dan is one of the only searchers that we know of that has sat in an airport and quaffed beer with Jack to get to know him since Forrest ended the chase. He knows Jack, so let's play what, Copper Dan?
You don't know Jack. And who else is Copper Dan now known by? K-Pro?
Sexy bald guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe to your wife.
She actually has the shirt that says, I'm with the sexy bald guy.
Nice.
We bought these down in anyway, question number 1. When I met Jack at the airport, he told me all about his meeting with Forrest, Tom, Sarah, Chris, and the Department of Interior attorney. Just kidding. He asked me about my solve. I promised not to ask him any solve questions, but later he volunteered a clue about no place for the meek. K-Pro might be able to answer this one.
Jeez, God, this is a funny night.
What did Jack tell me about what would be what did Jack tell me about what one would do at no place for the meek?
Vertigo says cross water. That's wrong. Cross the river. Treasure wires is wrong.
It is
cross water,
incorrect.
Says Huli. Get wet, says Vertigo. Huli says, damn you, Vertigo, because I thought Vertigo was right, but Vertigo's wrong. Oh.
This is like breaking news. Vertigo's wrong. Jack's brother got it wrong.
Oh my God. All right. We're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You would do something that you wouldn't normally do.
It was that simple. He never told you to cross water, right?
We were talking about, we had just talked about what my no place for the meek was crossing water, but he did not confirm that. He just simply said this, of which I hid from the community until somebody,
Jeremy
I don't
says,
know who.
Vertigo is wrong.
Somebody.
They're all freaking out in chat. Oh,
You can get me back later.
Sam says, get more ice cream from the ice cream truck. That's a good answer, Sam, but incorrect. All right, let's move on.
Moving on.
Question number 2.
Number 2.
In 1994, a famous alternative rock band came out with a song with Jack's middle name in the title. It peaked at number 21 on the US Billboard Hot 100, number 2 in Canada, number 4 in New Zealand, and number 9 on the UK singles chart. In Iceland, it peaked at number 1 for 4 weeks. In this 2-part question, name the band and name the full title of the song that has Jack's middle name in it.
We are getting desperate to find questions about Jack. Can you see this, Gabriel?
I'm just trying to stump Vertigo, so that's why.
In 1994.
I have a few you could have for the future.
Treasure Warriors. I saw the sign Ace of Base. Incorrect. Oh. Huli got the answer, but she didn't give the name of the band. What's the name of the band, Huli, if you want to win this one? Oh, and it's Bavetta coming through. REM. What's the frequency, Kenneth? 1994. We went deep on that one. You're right, Dan. Let's get back in the game with question number 3.
Vertigo wasn't far behind.
It's all you, Dan.
I'm sorry. On Harry McCracken's Tap Talk forum, he posted yesterday that he finished preparing his exhibits for the trial that may take place in late June. How many exhibits did Harry say he prepared to take to Santa Fe for the trial?
I know.
Get in chat. Type.
You can say it, K-Pro, if you know the answer.
88.
K-Pro
But
says
it'll be
80.
deleted. Somebody else can have it.
Well, you're not in the copper kettle. You're not in the copper kettle yet.
Not, but it's 88.
88 exhibits and some videos too. Harry says, we'll put Jen in too, because Jen said 88. So we'll put
There,
Jen.
that's fair. I like that.
Jen and K-Pro in. Just finished my exhibits, got quite a few videos too to show. 88 exhibits in total and a ton of powerful evidence to support my case. Remember, it's only a civil case, so preponderance of evidence wins, and I should be well over that line. I expect the state will prevaricate and be difficult, but they will either settle or face the music in court with only a few weeks left. I win either way. Full steam ahead. K-Pro, any comment on that from Harry? What you believe his chances of winning a trial are?
I think the chances of settlement is 0. I know that he thinks that's where he's at right now. I believe he has to prove that Forrest is alive, even though it's not a high preponderance of evidence, but I do not think he will be successful, but I don't know. I just feel bad on every side of this right now. And I know this might upset some people. I feel bad for him right now. So just that he's, I don't know. I feel bad.
Hoofhearted says, is K-Pro going to buy the copper kettle? The answer to that is no.
Some things are not for sale.
That's right. Oh, they could be. I mean, everything. You put a price on the copper kettle. Shipping that off to Mike tomorrow. All right.
1.8 million, that'll buy it.
Last week, we learned about Jack's attorney, Tom. This week, we learned about the Fenn Estates attorney, Carl Summers. What is the name of Carl's law firm, and what is the street name of their Santa Fe office? Vertigo's probably going to get this one. What is the actual name of the law firm, and what is the street name that the Fenn Estates?
Someone just said 88.
Yeah, Fins Up finally came up with 88. This happens every week, K-Pro. Vertigo says Summers, Carl, and Lincoln. The answer is Summer, Carnes, and Associates, Lincoln Avenue. Vertigo, well done. He keeps people, but Jen and K-Pro, or Jen, and we got 3 new in the copper kettle. Congratulations, that's fantastic. Thanks for playing You Don't Know Jack. Tune in next week for another riveting episode. Also, we'll change it up from time to time with live guests like Jack and ask some You Don't Know questions about others in the community, because what, Dan?
I'm the only one to ever met Jack.
All right.
And you don't know Jack.
Each week when we finish You Don't Know Jack, we give tribute to a conversation that K-Pro had with Copper Dan about this fella.
Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty.
Where I taught K-Pro about Frost.
Dead. You were the one I called. You're somehow in this conspiracy. I don't know how, but yeah. Frosty exists.
I like your cow behind you.
One over there too. Yeah,
Isn't
I'm in
there
a different
map
part of the
with a
house.
hole behind her?
It's funny. We were just
I
looking
like what you did with the you framed the Chaseopoly.
This is the one that Forrest signed. Oh, sorry, you can't see it.
That's really cool.
All
Yeah,
right.
we kept it.
There's Cynthia with Forrest.
Oh,
There's Dan with Jack. There's that map with Forrest's initials on it that says 9 Mile Hole with a circle and an X.
it's not that map. That's not the right
I made
one.
that today.
It's signed. Look at it.
I made that today just to
Okay.
be provocative.
Not that I would
admitted
know.
it immediately after my utter attempt at making a terrible map. All right, let's go back. Let's go back 3 days. Cynthia Meachum would have said ending to why Forrest originally hid the treasure chest. The Fenn family, Jack and lawyers, so underestimated the Fenn Chase community. They thought us knowing 9 Mile Hole would give all of us closure and we would move on. What I don't understand is how they do not understand. Those of us who spent 10 years of our lives investing and giving freely of our hearts and souls to this once in a lifetime and found and need the answers for closure. I've been fortunate to get more information than anyone, but that does not help the masses get closure. With the lack of Jack's deposition, where I'd hoped the community would get answers, I no longer know, and I feel a great sadness for everyone. And then she dropped this Cynthia bomb. Absolutely, like I mentioned in my comment ago, I have closure because I've been told the answers. I've seen the Yellowstone National Park map where Forrest Martinek signed his initials beside it and circled the spot, wrote in all caps 9 Mile Hole. This was also dated 6/11/2020 to be used in a court case if needed. As far as I know, it was never needed for any of the lawsuits, and I'm the only person still living to have seen it other than the person that possesses it. Then she started answering, kind of going through the poem because David Crump was giving her a hard time. And so she's like, well, here's where warm waters halt. Warm waters halts where the fire, so she goes through all this. I don't think we need to read that. We read it this weekend. And then I thought this was funny. Cynthia said, I think I'll attend the trial as Jack's mother. I need to be incognito anyway. And I replied, hello, Mrs. Stoof. Or is it Steve?
Oh,
well, anyway.
Jack.
April, you talked to Cynthia. You said you got some more information. We just showed where we left off with her comments. What's new and exciting here?
I don't know what I think she's very clear. She gave a lot of detail. It's very interesting, I think. What questions are there?
I think the questions that others had, and I do understand when somebody gets information, and it was like Mike saying, yeah, people want me to post this email that I got from somebody's, and he's like, I promised the person I wouldn't.
Right.
Okay, great. And then what Mike said, he goes, so even if I did, would they believe it? Right. At what point do you believe it? I think the question for Cynthia was, we went back to the Christmas card with the X on it. We talked a lot about it here in the Copper Factory. Cynthia shared that she had that meeting on August 28th with Forrest, and think about that. He only had a few days left to live at that point. And that was before she went up and met people at Fenbury and took the pictures on Fishing Bridge with everyone. And, as Labor Day weekend was coming to an end, so was Forrest's life. So I think a lot of people were, well, the GPS thing happened after that. So did Cynthia really know all this? And was she pretending going along with the GPS thing? First of all, I stated, as Dan remembers on Saturday, that I don't find Cynthia to be an untruthful person in my limited interaction with her. But I do understand why people that have been invested in this a lot longer and had personal relationships with Forrest, she was very close, worked for him for a while, had all those lunches with him and Dale and others that she talks about, and now has a relationship with the family in Shiloh that she didn't have to release those pictures or share that information. I think people are like, well, what's the truth on, the old Nixon Watergate? What did the president know and when did he know it? It's like Cynthia is now Richard Nixon, and people are going through, what did you know and when did you know it? And
I think that's fair. That's a fair question. And I actually talked to her today about this exact thing. I said, if you don't know all the backstory, there's no way for it to be reconciled with the information out there. It looks disingenuous. I said, so am I okay if I come on and am asked about timing? Am I okay answering at least my perspective? I'm not going to speak for Cynthia, but I'm going to speak for me. Cynthia said, and she put it out there for everybody, Forrest showed her that Christmas card. I think in her mind, this is before we knew of the Condor database. This was in August of 2019, right? I think that solidified for her Yellowstone 100%. Then later, and then
I think you meant to say August 2020, right? Not August.
I'm sorry.
2020.
Yes, August 2020.
Okay.
August 2020. And so, that would be a big story if it was August 2019.
Right.
I know, but August 2020. So I think at that time it solidified for her Yellowstone. This was the Madison, and this was, it was I won't say generic, because now we know it's the actual location. I think in her mind, because I can tell you, us going to the GPS when we were driving up, it was just me and her, and we happened to call Justin about, I think we were in Salt Lake City, and he happened to be in the area, and he just happened to jump in last minute. We were 100% if I was duped, not only by Turd, but by Cynthia, and then Justin happened to be coming along, it's impossible for that. We were so sure. You didn't even see, we had some crying moments. We didn't video them. I don't believe it would be possible for her to be disingenuous to it. So how do you reconcile then the timing? I believe the Christmas card solidified to her Yellowstone, not 9 Mile Hole. It was, the Nookers were up in that area. They didn't even have 9 Mile Hole when they went up, and they had all this information. And so when they went up and they were between 7 Mile Bridge and I think it's Elbow or Bend. I forget the name.
Yeah, Elbow.
And it was in the middle is actually Copper Dan's call and a couple of other calls that made them refine in with the Netflix crew there into 9 Mile Hole. And the oil tree coming out. That's when it went from Christmas card was the Madison. It could be anywhere on the Madison to that specifically. Now we have even more information coming. I think it more piles up 9 Mile Hole than is Cynthia telling the truth, because the timing, I get the question. If you're on the, you're just watching this go, how did she do it then? I think she mistakenly, I laughed. I said, so basically you were dumb. And she's like, yes. I said, you had this Christmas card and you thought Madison and you didn't think 9 Mile Hole. She goes, I thought it was a possibility, but that wasn't enough to say this was it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I think you were dumb, but
I think, Jack talked about that double-edged sword of him not being around Forrest, first being jealous of the insiders, but then saying, that's a double-edged sword, because I remember Cynthia saying, like, she felt she got the inside information that Forrest hid it when he was in Cody. And so if she's thinking he drove, so it has to be the east entrance and it's got to be, somewhere around there. And remember, Forrest said, now go get that treasure to her. And that was nowhere near if it truly was 9 Mile Hole. So I think, him saying to Dale, oh, you were within, 100 feet or 100 yards or whatever. I do think, kind of like the Willy Wonka thing, that if you ask Forrest too many questions, when he said all you need is a good map, the poem, and the book, that he definitely was playing around, and anybody
and
who
I think he
was going to get an advantage might have actually been.
I found out this is how you ask questions.
Sneak in. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm in like grade school. We have a few questions from chat. Huli wants to know, Cynthia has seen there is a video. Has she viewed the recording? Must be said, Cynthia has said there is a video.
So I can't say whether she has or hasn't, but I will tell you, I don't believe she has. I don't believe anyone has seen the video, and the whole Justin and Amy inviting a bunch of people to go see it, I don't believe was actually going to happen, which would have been, talk about a shit show. That would have been bad if everybody flew in and then no video was shown. I don't think anybody has seen the video. That's just my opinion. But again, you could ask her. So
Jeremy said he loves the hand raising. I did that with you, Jeremy, when I was on with you. It's a polite thing to do, is to raise your hand. You can actually raise your hand.
How'd I get here? Today's been a really interesting day.
Well, you guys are chatting. I'm going to check out our St. Jude's link.
You know what? And I've heard, this is what I've heard. Whatever it's at, I've heard if $100 more goes into the St. Jude pot, I heard somebody that related to Ranger Sarah might be making an appearance.
Really?
I don't know what it's at right now, but if it went up by 100,
I'm going to.
I heard that's what I heard. That's what I heard. Because I heard this Copper Dan guy keeps making contact with her and it's like, it's time. And I heard she'd come on. That's what I heard.
So Dan,
but I heard, but you know what I heard?
Picker too? Dan?
What's that?
Are you going to talk about the book and do the comment picker too?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to check on that. And then I was going to get ready. Actually, before I pull this up, everybody in chat, we're giving away some big prizes tonight. We got this Eric Sloan. 80.
I'm empty, so I'm going to go get a refill.
All right.
Oh, no.
And I will, this one's full of all kinds of nice pictures from his book. This was, I think this was to promote a gallery, Hammer Galleries. So this is going to be one prize. And the other prize, Capro, have you seen this yet?
No, I haven't. Oh, I have one of those. Yours is numbered?
Yes.
Oh, you have the nice one like I do. I think I have.
Well, I think there was only 100 made.
Yeah.
This is 45 of 100.
I think I have 46. That's funny.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
If you
that's
to
worth
win
a lot of money there, sir.
a little bit.
Yeah.
The guy I bought it from knew what it was being used for, and he gave me a good deal.
Nice.
So I didn't have to break the bank. The last video, the one with the picture of me and my running attire on it, the one we did on Sunday. That's the one you want to comment on. So you got about 5 minutes to jump over there.
What is it at right now? Because if it goes up by 100, and I heard Sarah Davis has some secrets to tell. That's what I heard.
I'm going to screen share it as soon as it pops up here.
Say what's that, because $100 more.
Holy crap.
And I heard Sarah Davis has a lot to say about this Ranger Jack guy. And I heard they don't like K-Pro. But that would be terrible. Wouldn't that be terrible?
Oh, if she were to come on and just trash K-Pro, that would be
That's what
funny.
I heard. That's what I heard.
We're at, can you see that?
Oh.
I think my screen share is working. We're at $2,450.
Dang, nice.
We are above our goal. So I got to raise our goal. I had to do that. Remember when we did the
yes, you had to raise the goal. Yeah.
I raised it and raised it and raised it. And every time I think, okay, there's no way we're gonna do this. And the next thing you know, we were over $15,000.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull
I am not wanting to treasure seekers. You just sent me a nice email today, and now you're saying stop. God.
I don't know.
I can't even look at chat.
It depends what side of the bed Greg woke up on. I think comment picker. I actually had trouble with comment picker the other day, and then I learned something. So I think chat was laughing at me.
What's? Oh my goodness!
What the? K-Pro, have you met this douchebag before?
That woman from that Cow Phasers and Stay Puff show. How you doing there, Crisco?
Sir, yes, sir.
You don't have to salute him.
Isn't she from that Cow Udder and K-Car show?
This is the one and only K-Pro Thor.
Well, you go ahead and you do this comment picker. I'm very proud of the people in your community that have raised over $2,400 from Kids from Cancer, but I do have some warnings for any of you muckalucks that are planning to go to Yellowstone National Park this week. Continue on, Clopper Dick.
Oh, dang.
Wow, you're kind of feisty tonight there, Ranger Dick. Or what is your name, Ranger Jack. I'm sorry. Sorry, I screwed up. All right, guys. If you haven't commented, I'm getting ready to pick the first prize. So this is how this is going to work. First thing I got to do is screen share here.
Let's chat. Let's be happy. Hey, chat. Let's.
Yes,
be happy.
guys. Because everybody keep our positive attitude like we have every week. All right, so this is how this is going to work.
Ranger Jack will arrest you if you're not nice in chat.
Yeah, he's going to take you. What are you going to do with? You're going to put him in the dookie.
You'll hear. You just finished your old comment picker here.
So we got the two prizes to give away. The person who wins the first prize gets first dibs, and you can either take the Eric Sloan or you can take the Forrest Finn book, and then we'll draw again. So.
Oh, you're gross, Indy. Oh, okay. This Indy, is why
I'll deal with it. Indy, I won't put up with your shit. So if you don't fucking like it, leave. Oh, did I say that?
No.
All right, we have 36 unique comments. And the winner is you won already. What do you want again?
You won Tyler's coin.
You won Tyler's coin.
You won Tyler's coin. He's like the Vertigo, whatever that guy's name is.
I can't wait to see the official solve. It ought to be a good one. All right. Well, congratulations, Jim.
Now we're just 2 weeks away from Liberty Bell's conjunction, junction, fen dysfunction. And all I have to say is I want to make it simple, especially for this creator of the Trolls Gaff, by putting it into terms you can understand here, Clopper Dick. Any of you chaseaholics think you're going to waltz on in to that west entrance to 9 Mile Hole to cause mischief are going to be on the highway to the danger zone.
Oh, Ranger Jack, did you go see Top Gun this weekend? Here we go.
Top Gun, I've lived it.
You've lived it.
I don't care what this loony bin says about behaving. We got this Jane's addiction. We got Bong Water Benny. We got brutal grammar. We got that Dorothea, no place like Homer Brown Meachum, and that Ruby Grease, all looking to cross that river again for the anniversary for their perverted Logapalooza. And I'm telling you right now, we're not going to have anything to do with it. There's been so much
Ranger
promotion.
Jack, we got a winner here. You want to announce the winner?
C-Star 1121. C-Star 1121, which also is Mike Cowling's Top Gun name, by the way. But anyway, there's been so much commotion that even the tribal council leaders from the Indian tribes around Yellowstone have heard so much about this Ruby Grease that they gave him an Indian name. You know what that is, Calliope Dogma, what they're calling Ruby Grease?
Tell us, what are they calling Ruby Grease?
Dances with logs. Now,
you got
that other show here with Cow Phasers and Stay Puff here, and they're talking about Dorothea Meachum with a map on an X on it to draw even more people to come up this next week. Man, you can dream your misguided boyhood fantasies here, bottom gun.
Hey, before you sneak out of here, Bob, I got a question for you. You always get out I ask my questions. This week you're not leaving. And I'm pretty sure we found your brother, or maybe it was you without the stash. Here we go. Who is this man?
Well, that's one of the most law-loving, law-respected enforcement officers that's ever lived in this country. That's Buford T. Justice from the great state of Texas. I'll tell you something, I'm proud. I'd be proud to walk a mile in his moccasins, my friend.
Is he your daddy?
He's not my daddy. And the only difference between those two pictures is I left my tie on that 727. Now, bottom gun. You can want to dream about flying like a maverick, but there's only been 2 mavericks that fly, Tom Cruise and Forrest Fenn. And if I catch any of you chase flunkies trying to do Operation Dookie Drop next week in Yellowstone National Park, I promise you, you will lose that love and feeling. I want to put this to you one way. My wingmen and my wingmen at Yellowstone Park want to hear this. Hear me now and listen good. Your loony log looking is sure to fail. If you misbehave in the wood, your ass is off to Ranger jail. Because you're in the highway to the Ranger zone.
Wow, I'm gonna have to bring it. Jesus.
Okay, bro. That's our Ranger Jack.
You know what? There might be someone that puts him in his place.
Well, we would love to meet her.
Okay, I'm not looking at chat anymore. So did it go up by 100? What is it at?
It takes a few minutes, but let me
Okay, we'll see. Well, you seem to be contacting the Davis camp quite often. So once it goes up a little bit, you're gonna I don't know if I could do that, but I will do my best for St. Jude's.
Well, yeah, there's only one Ranger Jack.
But I heard, this is what I heard. I heard that Sarah Davis knows a lot of inside info on that Ranger Jack.
Ooh, that's what we need. We need somebody with some inside info to come in here and get him all doesn't know what to think.
Yep. I
leave
heard
with his tail between his legs.
But much like happens with me in the community, this person was close to me, and now I don't have any information, but I heard there's a little something. I've heard some things. I don't have up-to-date information because they hate me now. But yeah, I think they're going to bring some very interesting tidbits on this Ranger Jack.
All right, you guys, you heard it here. We're at $24.50. If we can get this up to $100, either Ranger Sarah or a representative that knows her family member, possibly, is going to come in and put that Ranger Jack in his place where he belongs.
Oh, you missed it all. What happened?
John, again, like 5 weeks in a row, bud.
Just what?
Jerk came in here, took over the whole show. He was made it a salute. He was picking on
cow udders
K-Pro.
and Stay Puff. I have no idea.
I know. I was really scared. And then, but I heard Packer Jack. I don't know if I've told you this. I only tell Copper Dan my secrets because he keeps them. And
Is that on tonight's show you're gonna do that?
So Packer Jack, see, Mike knows nothing, so he's not yelling at me. So Packer Jack, Sarah, the Davis camp has somebody that knows secret information on, I don't think you've ever met him, this Ranger Jack guy, but the only way she is going to come on and say how it is if the St. Jude's pot goes up by $100.
Yeah, let's take him down. I hate that guy.
Hey, John, I just wanted to ask, we're talking Top Gun tonight. Do you happen to own a pair of naval aviator glasses?
I do. I don't have them with me right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just something.
I think that Ranger Jack guy, he's compensating for something with that big, huge mustache.
I agree. Obviously. Yeah. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. It looks like he's got a rat underneath his nose.
Well, he's got a new one on every week. I mean, it's just, I don't know what to think.
Dan, you can be my wingman anytime.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
You guys.
You can be mine.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Volleyball pose. There we go. All right. All right. Is it time to get back to PowerPoint Palooza?
PowerPoint Palooza.
Gotta see what I got here. What do I have?
What happened?
Let's get back to the chase.
Oh, God, Mike. Can we get a GoFundMe to put a porta potty at 9 Mile Hole with Ranger Jack's picture on it?
All right. We'll start a porta potty. We'll start a GoFundMe for a porta potty.
Oh my goodness.
Where are we at? 9?
Yeah, we went through that. Meek. Yeah.
Meek. What are we talking about tonight?
Meek and Homer Brown we're talking about. Definition of meek. Enduring injury with patience or without resentment. A meek child dominated by his brothers. Deficient spiritual courage, submissive, not violent or strong, moderate. So
does it say anywhere where meek means not crossing the river?
There is something that I brought up about water. So you always ask these questions, and I'm like, Dan, in 2 slides, I'm going to answer that question. Here's Jenny. Go ahead, K-Pro.
I wanted to say one thing. I asked Copper Dan about an hour before the show, like, I don't want to derail. What are you guys talking about tonight? And he goes, I don't know, whatever's on Packer Jack slides. I said, you haven't seen him? He goes, no. I said, that's exactly like Mike. So I thought that was hilarious.
I'm the Mike to call lasers. And I think that's a hell of a compliment.
So we all know all these wacky coincidences. We've talked about the old Harry McCracken versus the new Harry McCracken and so on and so forth. Well, a lot of people that were looking into mountain men, there was Joseph Meek, and Jenny Kyle actually put this on back in 2018 and mysterious writings on, could there be something associated with Joseph Meek? But Forrest didn't capitalize the M in Meek, so to say that it would go with the name. But there's some interesting things because I kind of research K-Pro, I go down the rabbit holes on each one of these. And so Joseph Meek, interestingly, had this quote where he said, "We are done with this life and in this mountains, done with waiting in beaver dams and freezing or starving alternately, done with Indian trading and Indian fighting. The fur trade is dead in the Rocky Mountains and it is no place for us now. If ever it was, we were young yet and have life before us. We cannot waste it here. We'll return to the States. Let's go down." So when Forrest talks about 15 years to write the poem, the answers could be simple, but I always wonder, just like with that book that Charlie Brooks did, Fishing, about the Madison River, and he has that chapter that says Madison Junction where it begins, that you have Joseph Meek saying it's no place for us. I don't believe, because Forrest didn't capitalize Meek, but I also wonder if Forrest really was pulling and borrowing, and like we said with the whole Ben Wise thing, and that this poem really has a lot more to it, even though the answers may be very simple. It's interesting to see that you've got Joseph Meek and he says it's no place for us. So to your point, Dan, meek means tame, spiritless, calm under provocation. It doesn't mean afraid. So this clue is not warning us about something dangerous like bears, but the possibility of no place for the meek. No place for the tame could mean the path that is ahead and not on the trail. Meek is a lamb, so no place for sheep. So people that thought sheep eater cliffs or a canyon. There's actually a brand of fly fishing reels called Meek, and they're very famous. So again, a triple entendre potentially. But Dan, to your point, the meek shall inherit the earth. Well, if they inherit the earth, there's also water. So it could be saying, no place for the meek. Well, the meek are supposed to be on the earth. This clue is telling you to start walking in the water. Again, all speculation. But as we're looking at what the potential meanings of meek are, these are some things that I went through to think about. The one that kind of we put it in You Don't Know Jack was, Dan, your meeting with Jack and him saying, when you talked about this, he said it means doing something you wouldn't normally do. Wading across a river is not something you would normally do. And you're already past the fire hole. The fire hole has ended. You're not in warm water anymore. The Madison River is supposed to feel cold. Because a lot of people, Capro, you probably heard this too, people are like, can't be the Madison because the Madison's not warm. It's like, begin at where warm waters halts means the warm waters have ended. The fire hole, as Cynthia said to David Crump, was the warm water. It is now halted. So if you're walking across that 9 Mile Hole or any other place on the Madison River, now, it's not going to be warm waters.
And also the Gallatin is also warm water. Am I correct with that? Would you agree with that?
That's correct. Assessment? There's geysers along that.
And that really fits the waters plural. Capro, do you remember we had debates over is waters plural or singular? I mean, we had hours and hours and nights of debates just on that one word, and then
one letter of one word, and then to come to the end, and our Forrest was just pounding his head against the wall, going like, guys, this is no. Well, it makes sense. It actually is more. So I love Packer Jack. You sent your PowerPoint last week. And I loved how eloquent it was and all of these meanings. And I wonder exactly what you said. Did Forrest have one literal, simple way and then one pretty advanced, eloquent, clever, all these tie-ins as well? Or was he just literal? That's what that would be my question to him is we find all of these connections and I would send him your PowerPoint from last week. Did you mean any of that? He probably would say, I mean, it's one way or the other. But waters totally makes sense once you say fire hole.
Gibbon, not Gallatin. Sorry, guys. I meant Gibbon.
Yeah. Well, and Gibbon, once then where does it halt? Once you break down where warm waters halt into two parts, it is so much more eloquent to me than just Madison Junction. No, it's the fire hole and where he talks about river bathing is best and all of that. And then where does it halt? You have to take it in two parts, which I find it just was more palatable that way. Not that I get a vote, but it made it better for me.
Yeah, and you could there's this the Living River book where that chapter starts, Madison Junction, where it begins. It's just, obviously he would have read that book. We couldn't find it on his shelves. But again, I don't know, but I would like to think it would be great to think that just like with the Rockwell drawings in the book and other things, that there are double and triple entendre, yet, the actual poem itself is supposed to be read in a simplified way, as Jack and Forrest have both said. So they both said the big picture, right? So if you take a step back from Meek and go to Homer Brown, this has been a lot of consternation. Everybody's been saying Mr. Brown wasn't a fish. That's crazy, so on and so forth. And Cynthia saying, hey, I'm only telling you what I was told. But if you go back to this picture and you think about the word meek, and we realize that Skippy's not on here, and you have a little boy, a little girl, a mother, and then the father, the no place for the meek would be the father. And the brother that might be seen in the definition of meek, someone who might be picked on by an older brother. You just saw me put Merriam-Webster's definition of it on, and with an example, would be for his father. And then if you look at these pictures closely, obviously we look at the one where he's standing in front of Fen Rock with 9 Mile Hole. And this is the one picture on all of those on the big picture where he's got 1 foot on the bank and 1 foot is actually in the water. So he is actually put in there. And we know that later in the book, there's a chapter called Father on the Banco, which is an interesting story about Forrest and his father's mortgage and Forrest doing one deal. But you have, again, Father on the Banco, and here you have his father. So if you're ever wondering what's too far to walk, and Cynthia said it's 4.2 miles from the Madison Junction entryway. But if you ever wondered where you need to put in, this is a probably put in beneath the home of Brown. You're seeing a picture right here where the person who's not Meek on that page, for all the people that are on that page, have put in. So Father on the Banco, again, he makes another reference for Blaze in My Father on the Banco. He talks about Holy Spirit and Christianity as a symbol of fire and wisdom. So the home mortgage is finally paid. Remember, they talk about ceremonially burning the papers, and they said it was a religious experience. His father's standing by the fireplace in that chapter. So by the fire or blaze while Forrest is conducting the business. He mentions his father's teacher as a job, which could be teaching, which is wisdom. And the subtle links between the blaze, fire, home of Brown, Banco, and the bank of a river creek. Even in the end of the book, with his writing on how he's sure his father is on cloud somewhere, burning a candle of both ends, is again bringing fire or a blaze into it. And you tie those in with what we've talked about with Ben Wise, with lightning, the horse, so on and so forth. And you can start to see that 95% of this may be wrong, but if 5% of this is right, you start to see how this all ties together.
Yeah, can you
So
go back
it.
a couple to the big picture one?
Oh yeah, let me go back. Hang on, let me screen share again.
Because somebody, and it might have been you that posted about the Father on the Banco thing, and I thought that was super cool. But there was one other thing that somebody said on YouTube. This is not me. Somebody said on, where do you see the most fish in Yellowstone? Where do you see the second most fish, 9 Mile Hole, in that picture? So when you bring that all together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the most fish on the page. Sorry, for some reason I was delayed.
Yeah, that's okay. So it points to the most fishes, it points to Yellowstone, and then it says where in Yellowstone, who's holding the most fish on that page? And it's Father at 9 Mile Hole. There's two of Father, but there's only one at 9 Mile Hole. And there's a second picture of Father that points yeah. So anyway, there's three of Father, but still the one at 9 Mile Hole, that's for the best fishing.
Yeah, I know people like Ben and others, that you fold if you fold it like you fold other pages, the K at the end of park and the EY spell key backwards. So is Yellowstone Park the key? All these things are going to be really great when that DVD that you have, K-Pro, of the video, you finally to the community.
If we are correct with this, I do like how Forrest designed this. I like, the warm water salt, you got two rivers coming together. That's your beginning point. I agree. I do agree with K-Pro. The home of Brown being a big fish, I'm still holding out hope. If it is that, I'm holding out hope that there's something in this book that we just overlooked that really pointed you, because a lot of these other clues, like no place for the meek, no place for biddies, talks about Forrest being scared to cross or you couldn't cross the road, or being scared to cross the road.
I wouldn't be surprised to hear that the home of Brown is the Madison River, and that you know where to put in because of too far to walk and because of the hints to where to put in here. But you capitalize Brown like you would capitalize Madison for the river. That doesn't give you the fishing hole, so on and so forth. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's the honey hole, even though we talk about it being specialized knowledge. I'm not going to be surprised by anything at this point, since I think for most of us, we're reverse engineering after Rudy shared his videos and his pictures of the stump and the trees. But again, I won't even be surprised if this is all wrong at some point. We actually learned that Barbara Anderson was right. No, I'm kidding. K-Pro, I just wanted to say that to shock you.
I'm not
right.
Well, I will say that, and this is another mystery, just like the Woody pictures that he has supposedly. And I reached out to a couple searchers that had this, is that trout that's named Brown in the honey hole at 9 Mile Hole was actually mounted at Eagles Tackle Shop, scrapbook 158. A couple of scrapbooks go over that, and they took it down, but some searchers have a picture of it that were back way in the day. I found one of the searchers, Copper Dan, you know this person, went to one of the WSOFs, but has moved on. And I said, do you still have your archive? And the person said yes. And I said, I will travel to you. Because this person has the picture of Mr. Brown supposedly being mounted at Eagle's Tackle Shop. And they took it down after so many searchers were like causing them issues. I said, please find the picture, please. And I've asked like over the last year, 3 or 4 times, I just check in and they're like, I'm over it. I don't want to get sucked back in. I know I will. Don't take me there. And I said, good, we won't. But I said, please, please. I was like 3 times, please, please, please.
K-Pro,
that would help. Right?
Be persistent. Get you what you want. You just like that, or they just get sick of you and finally give you. Then they give you.
I hope. And I said, if you just want to back it up on a drive and send me the whole thing, you can send me I will search for it, because they didn't have the pictures all, so they're gonna have to go through each picture. And I was like, but that one's so big. And so if anyone has that picture, you would have to be a searcher. I guess they took it down in like 2014, 15 timeframe, but it was up on the wall at Eagle's Tackle Shop in West Yellowstone. And it was Brown was the trophy fish. They named it Brown, which was crazy. I don't like it, but I don't get a vote.
Yeah, I think, that's that whole thing about specialized knowledge and what is and what isn't. If you truly just need the poem, a good map.
Well, I got a feeling that we're just overlooking something. I mean, so many of these clues are very well explained in the book. And once you start to, like the Blaze, No Place for the Meek, and some of the others are well explained. I think there's
But
probably
I don't know
something.
if Jack had them. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to get them. That's the hard part. I don't know how much Jack and Chris, I don't think they had a lot of communication. And the communication they had is under the Joint Defense Agreement. I don't know if Jack's going to come out. Forrest, how much did he tell Shiloh? Shiloh has said he wants to write a book. He has information. I don't know what level. He did tell us that he did. And just because he said it in front of Shannon, myself, and Cynthia, and he did not say to keep it private. He didn't say to keep anything private that we talked about. He fished with his grandfather at 9 Mile Hole. It was a very special place to him, is what he said. And I'll leave it at that. But he said he wants to write a book. So I'm hoping we get some detail. I don't know how much. I don't know.
Yeah, it might not be. And the next year, it could be 5 years, 10 years from now, when things start to finally settle down. I mean, the more these lawsuits,
the way that this is set up for me is that based on that letter that Tom sent to Carl with the DOI saying that the new chief ranger of Yellowstone is going to criminally charge Jack if he releases it. And it was almost like a question, do you say if there was damage or whatever, but that there's potential future criminal liability to Jack, that Jack will never come out and say it based on that, unless someone from the Fenn estate would release it and it comes out, and then you have the evidence along with that, the Rudy pictures or even more. And then Jack can go back to Yellowstone saying, hey guys, come on. I mean, this has been out there.
That already happened with the Rudy law. They said no.
Yeah. But at some point, the only way Jack ever comes out is if that legal liability goes away. So right. Yellowstone or the DOI would have to release him and say, you're right, it's now so common knowledge, we can't blame you. So go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Or they can say, nope, this is the deal we made with you in August 2020.
I mean, Yellowstone's got a chance to at least control this. Searchers are going to cross over. They already have, and there's going to be many more searchers that are going to want to go take a look where this log is. They got the GPS coordinates. So Yellowstone could at least control that to a point. But if they're just going to be like dickheads like they are, then we're.
But there's not consensus. Look at the community right now in your chat room. They're, let's just say
$2,550 has now been raised. Isn't that $100 more than?
Well, yes. Oh, we got our $100.
Oh boy. Oh my.
So K-Pro, you're going to reach out to the family of Sarah Davis and
no, they hate me. We had did you know that Sarah Davis's family is from North Carolina? And I'm from North Carolina. We had a falling.
Of course we knew that because we knew she was related to Forrest.
Yes, but someone from the family or Sarah herself is going to come on next week. And you said you were going to reach out to them. So.
No, you have been reaching out to whoever this woman is you're talking to. You should reach out to her. I'm not involved. I heard she hates
that
me.
woman. I'll
She
continue.
hates
I
me.
will continue conversations with that woman.
You should have conversation because the woman that you're talking to, she doesn't like me. Maybe we can make amends, but I've heard she doesn't like me. Actually, I know she doesn't like me. But she has some info on that Ranger Jack guy.
That should make for. Would you like to come on next week and confront her?
No. I think she should come on and tell secrets of Ranger Jack and the Davis situation, the Davis camp. I think there's some Did you know that in the South there's a thing called moonshine?
I do. That's I love watching that show, Moonshiners.
That's called truth serum. I heard somehow moonshine's involved.
I love that character Tickle. He makes me laugh on Moonshiners. Very funny. It's his name, Tickle. It's a great show.
Oh, Tickle. Yeah. Okay. I thought you were kidding. No. Okay. If the $100 is there, my God, for St. Jude.
It's for the kids.
Yeah, it's for the kids. It
All
only can be for the kids.
I will make this happen.
All right, Dan, I do have my boots on the ground PowerPoint. I don't know if we want to save that for next week because we're way over an hour. Or you want me to run through it real quick before we sign off?
Well, everybody's having fun. We're having fun. We can go a little bit. It's up to you. So I leave it up to you. If you.
Well, I promised Rudy I would do it. So, and
do it for Rudy.
Rudy
you know
is
how much
Rudy
I had some.
Is it true that they're calling him Dances with Logs? That's hilarious.
I only heard that from the guy that is going to be exposed next week. I hear.
So I did a boots on the ground, Bayshore State Park, my new Mind Lab metal detector, my pinpointer, my serrated trowel, my knee pads, my flags, everything. And the story behind this, and I put a link in at the beginning. There's a historical story to it, but this place was the former training camp home of the Green Bay Packers. And it was off-site. It's about 15 miles out of Green Bay. So it was the first off-site NFL training facility. That building you see in the background there was this beautiful, they actually chipped the limestone out of the cliff there. They made it from the ground there, this amazing limestone lodge. And then after the Packers bought it, they built cottages for the married players so that they would have their own little home to live in during the summer. And as the other teams came to scrimmage, they said, oh my God, we need to do this. And so that's why you now hear of all these other NFL teams that have their offsite training facilities. If you don't know who that gentleman is, very dapper because he kind of went Hollywood later in his life, it's Curly Lambeau. He in 1919 asked his manager at the Indian Packing Company in Green Bay, Wisconsin, for the equivalent of about $500, which is a lot of money back then, to buy uniforms so they could start a football team. He had come home from his freshman year at Notre Dame playing football with tonsillitis. He was a big star that had won the East-West Green Bay football game and came back to start this team. And back then, professional football was not a famous or a big deal. College football was a big deal. There was no money in professional football back in the 1920s. This is a picture of Rockwood Lodge, and what I've circled is the thing that I kind of shared that I was looking for. It was the potential goalpost. And Dan, if you remember from Saturday, I told that 1-inch pieces of the ice bowl, because Green Bay collectors are nuts, go for like $1,000. Pieces from other goalposts from Milwaukee County Stadium go from $100 to $500. And while there had been a parkeology excavation of the lodge, nobody kind of could answer my question on, hey, did that thing just get knocked over and plowed over? Did it ever get removed? Because again, it was 15 miles away from town. The high schools and the colleges, they already had their own goalposts. So what happened to that goalpost? Here again is a picture of some of the players back then at the lodge. And again, another picture of that metal goalpost. That's a picture from 1948. This was the infamous fire that happened in January of 1950. The lodge burned down. The Green Bay Packers were in terrible debt. Their last championship had been in 1944. They were questioning Lambeau's ability to lead the team to a championship again. And they had a $50,000 insurance policy on this lodge. So they were losing so much money that in 1949, they had to play an inter squad old timers game on Thanksgiving just to have enough money to finish the last 4 games of the season. And mysteriously, this fire hit. So there's a 6-minute video. I posted the link earlier, talks all about this mystery about, was it arson or not? Most people now that have looked into it believe it's not, because the caretaker and his 2 children were actually in the home. they didn't think anybody would actually take the chance of trying to murder them. Dan.
So what you're saying, and I just want to throw this out there, is the Packers have been cheating since day one.
If you believe that this was arson, not day one because they started in 1919. If you believe they were cheating in 1949. K-Pro.
So to catch me up, and I'm sorry I haven't been watching other shows. So you did a boots on the ground, meaning you are trying to find pieces of this goalpost that is somehow around here because for whatever reason. Is that what your boots on the ground was?
Yeah, if that goalpost could be found and it would be chopped up into little pieces, it's worth over $50,000.
Wow. Okay. I'm caught up now. I'm kind of catching on, but I wanted to make sure I was. This is super cool because I know you're a little bit of a fan of the Pack. A little bit, right?
Little bit. So there was this controversy. Did they actually burn it down to get the insurance money?
I believe no, it's Cynthia that's a Packer fan. Cynthia.
Oh my God. I can't even call her on football days because she's a football fan, let alone, I don't even know I think it's Denver and I don't know, whatever. Keep going.
So there's Curly with Don Hudson, a couple other guys, the coaching staff that's after Hudson retired. ESPN in 2020, Dan Fleming wrote this article, How the Green Bay Packers Averted Financial Ruin in a Mysterious Blaze of Glory. You can look that up.
There's the word
blaze.
Blaze.
Here is the pictures of then versus now with myself working with one of the archaeologists from used to be with the Neville Public Museum, to say where would the lodge have been located today versus where it was then. So you have the black and white historical photo, and you can barely see in that black and white photo in the lower left corner is the practice field. If you actually look in the lower left corner, you can actually see the goalposts in there. And then superimposed next to the caretaker's home at the current Bayshore County Park, which is on this beautiful, you can see it's actually up on a bluff. So that marina that you see out there is way below. So if you go to the edge of those trees, there's actually swing sets and you're sitting on top of a giant cliff looking down at that marina. So it's actually a very gorgeous place. And this is just a parking area. There's a huge campground site just to the west of this. And I drove in there and there was a ton of people on Memorial Day with campers. Nobody was where I was doing my detecting. So superimposed is where the lodge would have been to try to give a methodology to figure out where the goalpost would have been. And this was my own photo from Google Earth. And you can see on the corner of that parking lot there, kind of my primary and my secondary areas that I was going to metal detect and search for it.
Did you have to get a permit?
I'm sorry?
Did you have to get a permit or is this private property?
I had to buy a $5 metal detecting Brown County permit. But more importantly, I got the blessing of the archaeologist, and I talked with Matt, the county parks director there, to let them know exactly what I was doing. I also called Cliff Crystal, who's the historian for the Green Bay Packers, and had the conversation with him, and they were all just like, man, go for it. This would be that nobody kind of thought. You know
what you should have did was call Gary Drayton up.
Well, I'm going to call Gary if we actually find something. I'm not going to call Gary and tell him that I found bottle caps. So
now, do other people do this, or are you like the first to think about this? This is so cool.
I think I'm the first to think about this in this way of doing detecting. It is an archaeological site. They consider the old Rockwood Lodge an archaeological site. So I literally could not do any major excavation on my own. So if I found anything, I had to flag it. But the other hard thing about this is the goalposts back then were made of iron. So metal detectors have all different settings where you can just look for gold or silver coins. But if you have to leave the iron setting on, then you're susceptible to find every pop top, every bottle cap. And so what I really had to do is see, is there any elongation? Is there any pattern of not just getting a blip, but that the blip continues on for more than a foot, more than 2 feet, more than 3 feet, more than 4 feet? This is some of the interesting stuff I found. You can see all the bottle caps on the bottom there. I don't think a Corona Light bottle cap is of historical significance. But I did find some flashing, some things that probably were from the lodge and the fire. And the thing that was really cool is this, and I'm holding it right now live with you guys, is this giant square-headed, hand-forged, completely rusted out bolt that was actually under a stone. I first thought when I was hitting stone that I'd found the goalposts, because I'm like, oh my God, it's clinking and I can see. And actually it ended up being about a 4-inch stone that once I took it out, this nut was right under it. But this is definitely period specific to that time that the Packers were at Rockwood Lodge. They still sell square-headed bolts, but you can tell this one is completely fat on the top. It doesn't have the circular rise like the bolts of today do. And you can tell it's hand forged when you look at it because it's really uneven.
Now, were there any of these in the goalpost? I don't even know if the goalposts have these or if they're welded together.
Not that I'm aware of. The only thing is it could have been a potential anchor. But again, I did not find anything around this. So my thing is this came off of an old truck or plow or, you know, something, some utility vehicle potentially. I don't know. And again, I have to bag. I have the GPS coordinates for this. I've bagged it. I'm holding it up right now because I took it out of the bag. But I have to give this back to those guys when we meet up for this. I also, as Dan knows, I told him before, the limestone that the lodge was built with is sometimes laying around in crazy places. And I found one of the giant blocks. I found one in 2017. I broke it into 4 pieces. I sold each one of those pieces for $150. So this stuff is kind of, talk about the days when people sold pet rocks to people. These limestone to Packer collectors to have a piece of Rockwood Lodge. If I broke this thing into like 20 pieces, I could sell them for $150 each. This one I'm keeping. And again, these are kind of laying around on the surface there and not really highly prized or valued by anyone except Packer collectors. There was maybe 2 or 3 others that I saw when I was there, and this was the biggest one. So I snaked it.
Alan Kay said maybe that nut just blew in there.
Yeah. So this is one area that I flagged. These are my flags. So I was doing depth testing as well too. This is about an 8-inch path where along that entire 8 inches, I was getting continuous hits all the way along with it. So this is one area that's in my search area that I showed you I mapped earlier. And then this was another area where, again, there's about over 7 feet of a contiguous hit in this area as well too. So I then removed the flags when I was done taking photos and getting the GPS coordinates, and I haven't even talked to those guys yet, but these are 2 of the areas where I'm going to suggest that we consider doing an excavation and potentially find that goalpost.
Oh, now do you have to pay for the excavation, or do they get to keep part of it, or do you get to keep it? How does that work?
I don't know the answers to those questions. All I know is I was keeping the Packers, Brown County, and the archaeologists up to date before I went up there. I'm going to tell them I want to go back one more time just to double check and triple check all that stuff. And then they have ground penetrating radar, which I certainly, even if I could afford, I don't know why I would buy a ground penetrating radar, but that's where they can go down, you know, well over 3 feet. Whereas my detector is 6 to 10 inches, 10 inches of going down. And that's where they could potentially see if there's more underneath there. So that's going to be phase 2, and literally going back to work after Memorial Day weekend and demolishing a swing set and all the other stuff I did. I hadn't really thought about this except to want to start putting this together, because I'll probably on Thursday or Friday put all this together and then send it to those guys and say, hey, here's what I want to do next steps. What do you guys think? And let them make the decision. Wow,
that's fun. That's fun. And it kind of just sounds like you're coming in pure heart, and they seem to be interested. You all have the same goals, so you'll just work it out at the end. That's pretty cool.
I mean, I love making money off of Packer collecting, but since I got into the Fen stuff, I mean, it was funny. I was having lunch with a guy who flew in from Vegas who used to run a chamber of commerce here. He's now retired. His wife runs the juvenile diabetes for your great state. And she did her event that raised like $1.3 million, and they sold a purebred dog that would cost $3,500. Somebody bid $55,000 and bought that dog at the recent event in Las Vegas for juvenile diabetes. So that's pretty awesome. I need to hook you up with those people, K-Pro, because they could help you buy the chest. But yeah, no, I'm starting to get back in as the Fen stuff starts to change, and we hopefully are getting more closure, or people are going to want to go in different directions with different things. I respect everybody. K-Pro, I'm friends with a lot of people, and there's been a lot of consternation lately and things going on. And my goal is not try to be Switzerland, but is not try to get involved in things that I don't need to get involved in between other searchers if I don't have to. So it's cool to have you on the show tonight, just like it was cool to be with Ben last week. And you know, I
No,
know
and
there's
I
people.
appreciate, I know that there's issues of even having me on. So I know that's made some issues and I'm
Well, I didn't
sorry.
know you were going to be on, so I'm going to beat the
Yeah,
hell out
you're
of Dan
I know.
after this
Yeah,
show.
Hey, I don't.
Dan's gonna take the whooping, and I'm sorry for that. I didn't
This
want to
is the end
step
of the
on
Copper
toes.
Factory tonight, Capro. Just so you know, it's all over. To you.
I'm sorry, and I hope we
There's
get
like
back to a
there's
good
like
place.
two whole people in here that don't like you're here, and that's just tough dookie. Isn't that what Ranger Jack would say? Tough dookie.
Yeah. And I tried not, you guys all know, so we don't need to revisit it. And so I just ignored chat, and you guys are lovely.
Well,
and
I'm
thank you
telling
for
you, I had the
letting-
time of my life, as you know, at World Series of Fan, and
Yeah,
it was great to meet you guys. And I
I'm
know that there
coming
were some
next
people
year.
that did not have a great time, and I didn't know what was going on with all that stuff because I got in late that night when I was supposed to get in earlier. I know that there's an event going on this weekend. I would just say, for my goodness gracious, if it's about Forrest Fenn and his chase, have fun.
I think they're
And the
good.
World
I
Series
think-
of Fenn was a blast. I mean, it's interesting because I do think a lot of things happen. I was the organizer and I didn't even know it. So there was stuff before and stuff after, but man, everybody had fun.
You
I
can't-
had fun with you
You
guys.
can't
tonight,
please
so thank you.
everyone. I think as
I
always,
can.
World
You
Series of
can't,
Fan.
but I can, Dan. So
All right, smarty.
Thank you,
Well,
though. I was really nervous and how I wanted to say it, and I didn't think Mike and I would like in our vacuum do. So when Copper Dan's like, I'll ask you questions, I'll put you in the hot seat. I thought at least I could just get it off my chest. So it's been a really significant part of my headspace recently.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason. I know Copper Dan called me a few times. I've been so worried that it was going to leak out because it would have to be quiet for so long. I was isolating myself from everyone almost. And so I'm glad that part is over for me because now I can have some fun with some other things happening in this
yeah,
community.
but I do understand your sentiment when you said it was still a possibility and that possibility ended today. So there is that kind of reality of it's fun to dream about it. You know, I shared with you because you, in our private conversations, you said, hey, are you bidding on this? Are you interested in this chess? And I told you, no, it's just, I'm interested in all this stuff. But, you know, for me, it was going back and doing research to find the Lubbock Fens bronzes. And I now own 2 of these. And to me, this is more valuable to me personally to say this was 1969, 1 year back from Vietnam. And dude was figuring out how to do this art stuff.
Yeah.
And now
plus I can afford these.
K-Pro is collecting my coins that
I know. I don't win treasure hunts. I buy them after.
You buy them.
That was going to be kind of the announcement part. So yeah, it was fun to dream for a little bit. I just wish, I wish things were different, but I know they're not. And I've learned a lot about people and I've learned a lot about myself. I'm not saying I'm right. Anything.
First
really.
of all, I mean, there was the you would have brought a lot onto your family and yourself with all of that crap. Then there's secondly, it is a risky investment. What if you don't double your money?
I don't think eventually if the details come out, I don't think it was a risky investment. I think the risk was minimal. If it goes whole to someone, I think my opinion is there would be a financial gain eventually, but it would be muddy along the way and there's risk along the way. And then there's some people that obviously, I mean, we saw what Forrest went through, that maybe this would be their last stitch or whatever. I don't think financially, because I believe Jack will sell it for a little bit less to be able to just offload it. And then if you're selling it for a little bit less, and that's going to add to the mystery. And I think when Shiloh finally comes out and all that settles, then the Fen factor will be there. But I think the other risk was there, and it's just.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, if you're thinking about it from a purely business standpoint, although I know it would be the heart of the chase within it would be there's potential books, there's potential documentaries, there's a potential another chase. There's certainly ways to monetize that and still honor Forrest. Not my bag, not something I want to do, but I think all along, when we were in the Entity Gate situation and where's that, it could go to somebody who would honor Forrest as opposed to a bidder that is just going to hide it, in Brunei somewhere, or, put it next to the Lost Da Vinci or whatever, right?
We actually sat for a little bit and said, wouldn't that be a way to kind of correct this crazy ending, to put it in a museum and then have all the little kiosk things where you could learn about Forrest and learn about TTOTC, learn about all of that, and for a year, and then turn it then after we all get the closure we want and we open the olive jar, and that would be the only thing sacrificed in the process. Everything else would be sold off. We'd open it, and that would have been a nice, I think, way to have closure. But I don't know. I mean, it's hopefully it's still an opportunity. I think I don't know at this point. I'm staying even more removed, and I'm not going to talk a lot about all the details, because I do believe Jack should get the highest bid, and I think the bidder should be protected in that process too. So I do know a little bit more detail, but I don't want to get too far into that, because I want that process to work its way out when it works its way out.
Can you believe that there's a little bronze statue that has a Yellowstone seal on it of the dude? Isn't that amazing? I mean, that should go on eBay. That should go on eBay, don't you think, Copper Dan, for St. Jude's?
For St. Jude's.
Let's do it. I mean, it's up to you. You're the one who bought it. Kind of like this book. Kind of like this
dude
book.
Could be going on eBay this week for St. Jude. The St. Jude dude. You just coined it right there.
Jude
Who was going to win? The St. Jude dude.
Now, yeah, eBay is the best. I hate eBay fees, but this is not a Facebook Live.
I told Dan
Facebook
I'd pay
offer.
the fees and the taxes and whatever, and just whatever the profit is from it goes to St. Jude's.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah, if you want to run this one differently, if we want to use eBay and just give all the money to St. Jude's, and
we'll figure it out, because
however you want to do it.
Well, we said we the same thing with the map, K-Pro, if you remember, it was Forrest and Jack signed the map, and we raised all the money, the $30,000, and then did the drawing, and the person who won it said, well, I really don't want it. So, and then Dan said, well, now let's go to the high rollers. And, I think it was $8,000 or whatever it went for. We're already over our goal. So now it's, we had all this other stuff. I've got the Charlie Brooks sign book. We've got all these other things that I think we can put on the open market and see what they go for. And I'm more than happy to cover the tax side of it to have it go to St. Jude's, Dan, so we can really ratchet that number up. So Dan and I'll get together offline this week and figure out what we got and what we want to do giveaways still, if we want to raise that goal from 2,500 to something else, but also have some fun on eBay where we can time it. Kate, I know you and Mike have done this, where you time the actual end of the auction while you're live.
Yeah. And I think that was a huge issue when Jamie tried to sell the 1, 2, 3 coin, and it went in the middle of the night is when it ended. And she's like, I think there was no bidding more at the end. I'm like, yeah, it's the middle. It's amazing. Just the little things that make
people
that
that list stuff at like 1 a.m. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And she just, it was the first time she ever did it. So she didn't know. So we would break off and go live and watch the end and let it bid up. That's cool. That dude part.
We did that a number of times for a number of different things that were, remember when Forrest's toothbrush holder that ended? Yes. Well, that ended in the middle of that when we went live when it ended, and that thing went, that was crazy.
This little guy's heavy. He's solid bronze, man.
That's cool.
St. Jude dude.
The St. Jude dude, that's right there. That's fun. No, I'm glad. Yeah.
Well, we've been on for an hour and 40.
Yeah, I've had enough of myself.
Sorry.
I don't know if you guys could stand it. So
I can't take any more of John's bloviating. Okay, Pro, it's good to see you. I'm sorry you didn't get the treasure chest. I think that would have been really cool to see somebody that's in the know get the chest that I know would do good things with it.
I said Mike wanted the rusty key, but I know he wanted probably a specific gold coin for sure.
I think he wanted one for each child, one for each son. That's what I think. But also he keeps saying, I want the gold. I want the gold. So for me, it's actually and there's 2 frogs in there. And so we'll see how it goes. But then the autobiography, we're like, wouldn't it be cool still to get it? And then we could do something with it, like openly, like we want that to get to the public. I don't want mysteries to be there forever. For the Fenn family, I think that autobiography needs to be opened for everyone. Yes.
Yeah, well, unless Caper, what about the Forest Fenn sale that's going to be happening? I believe it's June 9th with the Indian relic collection. I personally, it's not my cup of tea thing. Are you and Mike interested in any of that stuff, or?
No, we haven't. I actually contacted Shiloh. He was not aware of it. Or I think he was aware.
What do you mean, like not aware of the auction, or?
Yeah, like I said, so if you have upcoming auctions and you want us to advertise them, let us know. And he goes, can you send me a link? And I went, you didn't. So Zoe's in charge of the estate. And I think a lot of that stuff went away like months or years. I don't know if it's months or years ago. And now it's all been like that same thing with Heritage. So I think he didn't know the day. I think he knew it was going to go, but
that all might have been done back in like 6-7 months ago with the appraisals and everything.
He was not aware. It did not seem to me when he asked me for the link. He was like, "What are you talking about?" And when he asked me for the link, this was maybe 2 weeks ago. I was surprised. So what I think would be cool, and I know that he had some discussions with Cynthia at a time, like the things that are in scrapbooks, like that $5 bill, the telephone that has the cord that everybody thinks there was a hint to, that stuff is worth 50 cents at a garage sale. I think if you put that together for the search community and did like our own little thing and maybe donate it, maybe keeps it, who cares? That would be fun. And I think there's thoughts about that, or at least there was discussions with Cynthia and Shiloh. This was maybe 6 months ago. And I hope he does something like that. Because what he said is, I know there's a few that have made this challenging, but for the masses, I really appreciate them. Like this is an inspiring thing my grandfather did, and I've met so many of you, it's so I think gets that. I don't know where he's at because I know he's super successful. He's into kind of like you, Packer Jack. You're into these very interesting.
Yeah, I connected with him on LinkedIn, and I mean, Old Wood is a successful company, and his dad and the way that they started that company, and it's a cool company where they take wood from fires and other things and turn it into beautiful flooring and wood furniture and things, and they've got a successful business. So
well, and when I went to Forest, this was maybe in 2019, I said, "Where's Shiloh?" Usually Shiloh would meet us at the door, or maybe 2018, and he goes, "Oh, let me show you." And he showed me a picture, and it was him flying in a plane to Guatemala. He had sold like an old plane, old meaning it meant something to whoever the collector was, and he was flying it to Guatemala. I'm like, okay, there. I said, "You guys are really alike, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yeah, he's got my spirit." I'm like, cool. So I know it's not only the Old Wood 9-to-5er that he does, it's right. All these interesting, like when we went to the lab back in now I guess Shiloh's house, and he told us about, like, I didn't know if a horseshoe is curled, that means they died, and if it's straight, they took it out, it was alive. He went over all the San Lazaro
the way it's
stuff.
removed.
Yeah, like I didn't know. He had so much information that was so not in my headspace at all. So and he's so young. It's so cool to see someone that was given, like he was given a good opportunity. Like he's never like probably been homeless or poor, but a lot of people just live off their parents. And no, he has really stepped it up. He speaks like 4 languages, and I mean he's an adventurer, which I think is pretty cool. So
yeah, and I think we're all hoping that this McCracken thing goes away at the end of next month, and if it does, that may open the doors to more communication and transparency. Jack promised to let us know when the chest sold, and I think he'll keep his word. He hasn't lied as far as we know. I asked Dan Barbarisi that question, and I asked Dan the question, Dan, if you remember, I think you asked too, and you and Mike were with Dan, and it's like, would you have wanted to find the chest? And he's like, knowing what I know now, no. I'm like, all of us are like, hell yeah, we'd want to find it. But I do think when I think about, and I asked Dan specifically the question when I was on with him, with Ben and Jeremy, was, and it was a word salad question, but I was trying to get him to kind of admit to the Condor 2 2019 thing, but I'm like, did you ever feel that Jack was disingenuous with you? And he said, no, the fact that he didn't answer those questions and he was cagey about them, and I can't remember Dan's exact words, but he was basically saying, no, I don't think Jack is a disingenuous person. Dan, you met with him and he said, I felt a real sense of empathy, that he was almost emotional about parts of this. And you saw a different Jack Stoof than any of us would ever see, because he sat across the table from him while you guys got drunk together.
And he's filled.
Well, John, all I know is our plan worked. We got Mike and K-Pro out of the way. They are no longer bidders. So now we can get the chest for a better deal. So when we get off air, we're gonna put the first bid in.
Yeah, well, let's see how it goes. And I do want to say, I know that some people just kind of randomly email Jack or whoever and say, oh, I'm going to bid on the chest. There's a process, and it's you can't just say I want to buy the chest. There's things that you need to, it's a process is all I'll say.
Yeah, there were enough wackos where there was a process you'd go through, first of all, to show that you have the liquidity to do it, and you'd have to do that. So the fact that you, Mike, got involved with that, it's cool. Glad you shared it tonight. I didn't know that. It's new information.
Breaking.
I know there's a little bit. You said sad
soundboard.
horn, K-Pro. Your sad horn, but I mean, today sounds like it was the reality. We're like, yeah, this isn't going to happen. When it might not have happened anyway, but now the reality is it's not going to happen. So
yeah, so it was an emotional day for me, just because it was the day that, I mean, I first sent a text and then said, can we talk? And then talked it through with the Santa Fe piece. And then I kept saying to Copper Dan, I need permission because I didn't want to screw anything up. I didn't want to say anything that so I had to ask permission, but then I called him, and then I was like, I'm like, how do I say it? And then I'm like, I'm just going to say it. And it's kind of like what I did. I went, and he went, oh my. So it's been an emotional day. And you know what? It was our decision. So it's not like, oh, we were outbid, or, oh, this, so yeah.
So did Forrest fly 304 missions or 328 in Vietnam? Because guess what shirt I'm wearing? Ben, Alan, we still got a long way to go. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, I think that's a fun thought, and I wonder how that will. I mean, Shiloh's
You were the one that said you met with
maybe
Shiloh, and Shiloh answered very coyly about it. So
yeah, and then Dale responded to me recently, and he's like, I don't think there's anything there, like his conversation with Craig. But I'm like, I still got the Shiloh thing, so I don't know. It'd be fun. I won't lead that. I will probably just kind of let that develop as it.
Right.
But it would be fun. It would be fun. I know a lot of you guys were on that. I don't know. You guys are on that. It'll be fun.
you went to Nixon, so you went to Nixon. I didn't.
Yeah,
so.
that was a fun. I mean, again, no matter where we are today with who is good friends, who's not, et cetera, a lot of these experiences were fabulous. I mean,
so remember that. That's important to remember those.
Exactly.
And the feelings that you had with those people, because I think nobody is as far as I know, a felon here that's committing egregious crimes against anyone. But maybe I don't know that. But my sense is that if I had a wish, K-Pro, it would bring everybody back together in peace and harmony. Copper Dan knows this. I talk to him. I pine away. Saying, please, I wish this would end. Can we just get back to?
If I knew what happens, I just found out on YouTube. If I knew what happened, it would be easier than, I don't know. I won't even get into the details. I'll just say,
and don't. And
it's easier to have a conversation.
My goal wasn't to make it. Yeah, my goal wasn't to make you uncomfortable with your path and what you're doing and where you're going with stuff. And I don't know stuff that I don't know. But anyway,
I've got nothing.
It was a blast to have you on tonight. You're so, as I told you in Vegas and gave you a gold frog, you're someone who, I got into this and I started watching you and Mike and getting caught up and just binge watching what the hell went on here, because it was April of 2020 when I got into this. Then I bought the book. It finally gets delivered, and 2 weeks later, the damn thing's over, allegedly.
And that's where the mystery begins. Yeah.
And with that, gentlemen and gentlewomen, I think we're gonna we're way long tonight. We're starting to get into.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I ventured you off, but thank you. And I mean, I'll watch next week. I don't think I'll come on, but I'll watch.
Well, I don't want
because I'm hearing that.
Back, so
yeah, this is like I heard that Davis family is the Davis clan's gonna come after that Ranger or whatever. So, yeah.
Man, well, he is such a D-bag. Sorry, man.
Well, you haven't even been here to help out. You're always gone getting drunk or something.
Tuesday night is date night, and Mike likes to talk about his emotions, and that's the only night we're allowed to do that. And so it's unfortunate. Maybe we need to move date night for now. Oh, date night tonight. Oh, sad horn. Okay, bye. I gotta go. I'm sorry, I forgot. I gotta go. Okay, bye.
Bye. See you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Dan.